Well, hello gang, and welcome back. It's the 5th of December, 4 o'clock in the morning, and it hasn't really been that long since the raid. Most people are still wounded and resting in medical, slowly getting taken care of, but we have a escape pod here. Let's see, they have a relation. It's Val. They have a relationship with Looney Lloyd. It's their ex-lover. Okay. How damaged are you, Val? Death in 20 hours. Your character is incapable of carrying or firefighting, but you've got good melee skills, good social, animals, not bad. Some potential with growing and crafting down the road, perhaps. You have a chemical fascination, and you're very charismatic. You're also a psychopath. Prostophobe? I still don't know how to properly pronounce that. Basically, they hate bionic body parts, so if he loses a leg, he has to get nothing. I'm pretty sure even a wooden peg leg would be offensive to him. He's an optimist though, so it wouldn't bring him down if he ended up missing a leg. Loves animals and is a gourmet. He expects to be fed well and will complain if his meals aren't up to par. Well, our meals are pretty goddamn good here. Okay? Stock, don't worry about harvesting the potato plant. Go out here and rescue Val. There was a little bit of infection going around at the end of the last video. We've pretty much beat it. Saldownic has 65% immunity against 57% infection, and I think he was the only one really that had infection. Goldeneye is slowly dying from an artery blockage. It's possible we might be able to harvest a heart and replace it, or research some tech that would allow us to create bionic hearts and maybe save Goldeneye. At some point, he's going to have a heart attack and die if we don't fix that. Looney Lloyd, a little bit malnourished. Somebody will... You know what, we'll just have Barton do it. Or not, I guess I can't feed you. Maybe you were a little bit... You were malnourished earlier. It probably took them a while to get to you. And that's why. Hintelin is, of course, not happy. Most likely not from his wounds. I'm going to assume from nicotine withdrawal. Yeah. Not a good thing. There's also a party going on. Gekromancer is throwing a party. Everyone who goes will gain joy. He's throwing a party in celebration of the fact that we survived that last raid. Lots of people are going to have battle scars and wounds to tell their future relatives. Gekromancer wants to celebrate the occasion. But so far no one has died. Apparently we just had a bunch of chickens, or goslings, hatched too. That's pretty cool. Or not. Age 8 days? Why did you come through here? Freaking little animals. Are they not assigned? Yeah, they are. Who knows? They wanted to take a shortcut. Speaking of shortcuts, this entire area is probably going to have to be redone as soon as possible. I cannot continue to have the enemy able to pluck away at me from long range like that, where they were just able to hide here and just pepper us with blaster shots. I think I'm going to replace these fences with actual real walls and force the enemies to at least come up here where we will be able to shoot them directly in their faces. I still haven't decided how we're going to lay this out, but most of this needs to be redone. I think it's so damn hard to figure out how to set this up. We haven't really been raided from the north here. They get distracted by the fences every single time and just go break some down. What is it now, game? Visitors. That's not bad. A group from the Galactic Empire are visiting the colony. They seem to have a few items to trade. They didn't bring any muffalos loaded down or anything else, so most likely they brought some Imperial credits and some rations or something worthless like that to trade. When they come in a small group like this, I'm pretty sure it is simply to collect taxes. Mel Tax Officer of the Galactic Empire. Unfortunately for them, we don't have any taxes to pay, because we don't actually do any trading yet. Trying to quickly haul in all of the weapons as well. We'll strip them down and carry their clothes in soon enough. In fact, somebody told me in the comments, and I apologize for not remembering your guys' names. I generally read the comments from the previous video days before I record another one. And I remember the advice, but I don't always remember the specific name, because my memory sucks. But I was told that if I just have them bring the bodies here to the operating table, whenever they chop them up, the clothes will just fall off there, which will save us a ton of time having to haul them in. Everyone's attending the party, thrilled and excited to be alive, overjoyous that we are finally getting a means to produce plants indoors. In fact, I think we're gonna switch these to, let's see, what the hell is razor grain? A distant descendant of wheat is able to grow in the harsh wasteland. It takes 3.5 days. Tempting. Bean plant grows in 4 days. Common bean cooked up in many ways. I know that that can be used as a meat source. Gooseberry, a berry bush that grows well in cold climates. 6.25 days. There's also mushrooms. Grows in 4.75. This robust mushroom has been genetically engineered and cultivated to produce a filling meat substitute. Found in the wild and grown in hydroponics. 0.2 nutrition. 0.2. Somebody's having a food binge. I think we'll switch these to mushrooms. Both of them. That'll give us a somewhat permanent source of meat for our meals. I mean, we've still got tons of various types of meats in the freezer. 991 bird meat. We're up to 40 grilled steaks. We got tons of food now. Goldeneye the priest is pigging out on food. Also, just to warn you guys, the rest of the videos for the summer is probably going to have the air conditioner in one form or another. I don't know how well it'll actually show up in the recordings, and I might actually be sounding like I'm yelling half the time trying to talk over it. But I'm going to be recording a lot earlier than 3 o'clock in the morning. And today, for instance, it's a heat index of 105, so we have our own heat wave going on here. Saldownic, how are you possibly... You're not even close to death. You've got more immunity than anything else. Burton, are you taking care of him? Tending to Val. Tending to Saldownic. Is Skeeto. He steps up, grabs the herbal medicine, goes over to the Saldownic to remove the gauze and the stuff covering his burn marks. They're red and blistered, some of them infected. We'd probably be using maggots to eat away the burned flesh if we had any. Maybe that's what these are. It's not actually a wash pan. It's a pan filled with medical grade maggots. Looney, you failed to calm Goldeneye down. You tried. Thank you for that. So, Stock has decided he's going to chop the first body up and get the first batch of medical training. Burton is also going to continue research. It's imperative that we continue to make progress. We are currently working on multi-split air conditioning. Because I didn't know what else to research at the time. I'm still waiting on being able to build the multi-analyzer so we can research component assembly. And this would be kind of useful, because I could build just one central area for air conditioning, I think, and then pipe it to rooms that I need it and set the individual temperatures in there, I think. And I could remove those wall-mounted units that we've got that aren't too terribly awesome. Remove those and then double wall the locations that they're at. Add a little bit more support, protection, and heat insulation, which is always useful in this horrible climate that we are in. Advanced computing allows colonists to build the computing system which increases research speed and is necessary for advanced research. The computing system needs to be placed near a research bench. I think we'll make that number 2. this, we would need the computing system, the multi-analyzer, and the high-tech research bench. I've got to get that multi-analyzer built as soon as possible. Val is fully healed. Lots of things being harvested. It is apparently watermelon season. All 3 fields are being ripped up right now. That is awesome. I'm thrilled that food is no longer an issue. Let me just continue to reiterate that for the next several videos. Hot water tanks. Thermostat control allows hot water tank to control connected boilers. I don't have any boilers yet, but that's interesting. I think this mod got patched at some point between videos, because these look a little bit different. The sewage outlet, yeah, like where's all my sewage waste spilling out? So many freaking wounded people. Most of you, I'm pretty sure, don't actually even need to be in bed anymore. Saldownik does. He's developed an immunity to the infection, but by no means is his body 100%. He is feeling it. The recruiter named Val that we rescued is very grateful for his rescue and would like to stay at the colony. His traits are everything we've already seen. We'll accept him. Because we always need more people in our colony, if I'm being completely honest. People are going to be kidnapped probably quite regularly. And if they're not kidnapped, they'll probably die. So Val, you get to be... Probably going to pronounce your name wrong. Kid Russia? Or Kid Russia? Maybe it's Kid Russia. That's probably how it's pronounced. So welcome to the colony, Kid Russia. You need to go get some clothes on. You were a medical assistant at one point, even though you obviously didn't learn anything about it. Maybe that's whenever you decided you couldn't care about anyone or anything anymore. You were numb to it and you forsook all of the training that you learned. You didn't ever want to help anybody ever again. I need people to get healed so we can rip these fences up. That's probably the next big project I need to work on. Rip these up, replace them with walls and doors. I won't actually put a roof over it because we'll just leave this area walled in for the animals. Despite the fact that no grass ever actually grows in here for them to eat. I've got planted grass, but it doesn't grow enough to spread. In fact, I've only got grass in places I've actually planted. It's kind of hilarious. Actually, maybe not. Beavers. A group of hungry alpha beavers has just arrived. Try to eliminate them before they decimate every last tree in the region. I don't care. There's so many of them, and I don't really want to piss them off. Get swarmed by them. I don't think they will eat every single tree in the area. They might. If they do, then we have failed. Oh, that's why the animals were going through here. I forbid that door at some point. I think I forbid this door so people would quit taking a shortcut through here and seeing the Chthonian larva dead, giving themselves negative moodlets. Ah, you ate the grass. You know, maybe I should expand these growing zones. I really didn't want to. I've got to be careful not to cover up the, Game, why are you, like, lagging out all of a sudden? Are you planning something devious? Generally, the only time you treat me like this is whenever you're gonna raid me with a big old task force to murder me. Kinda got me worried. It's gotta be slowly, inevitably plotting my demise. You know it. I know Psychic drone. Every colonist of the male gender winces in pain, which is, well, everyone in the colony. Mosquito, your anxiety needs to be managed. I'm sure somebody will get to you at some point. Metal slime? Can I make you stand up? Yeah. Go about your business. Your resting days are done with. And the first thing he does is run to take a hot shower. Finally free and awake from that nightmare. And yeah, I guess when the bodies are chopped up, they actually do drop everything. That's pretty cool. For some reason, I thought all of the clothes were destroyed with them. So that saves me a ton of time. So that... Major break risk. I don't care if people are going to have a major break. That is no longer an issue that I even worry about telling you guys about. Because everybody is constantly cycling between a major fuck snap and just being okay. It's a tough life out here on the Rim. And everybody every once in a while just needs to vent a little bit. I'll worry about getting everybody suited up and get them weapons here in a little bit. For now, it's not too terribly important. What we need to do is get all of these supplies in. Going to tell myself that that is one of the things causing the skipping right now. Everything had been going so smooth until we harvested 6,000 vegetables and tobacco leaves. So we'll get this taken care of, everything hauled in, and we will let the colony get back to it. We survived a raid, we didn't lose anybody, and in the process afterwards, we've gained a new recruit, Kid Russia. I want to say things are looking up for us, but I'm not quite ready to jinx everything. Well, hello gang, and welcome back. It's the 7th of December, 5 o'clock in the evening, and there's an eclipse going on. Pretty sure I talked about this possibly being a horrible thing to have happen to us, since I am primarily dependent on solar generators. I came back just in time to show you our batteries are out of power. And, I need to forbid this door. Nobody needs to be going in or out of there. Unless absolutely required, because it's already heating up way too quick. I don't expect the eclipse to last long. They normally don't. But this one has already lasted 16 hours. And we are completely out of power at this point. I don't know how long the fridges will be able to hold temperature. Already up to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And the thing is, even when we do get power back, it's going to take a little bit for everything to kick and cycle on. Some cargo pods dropped over here as well that gave us a whole bunch of synth thread. Don't know exactly how useful that is yet. I haven't particularly dabbled in in-game resources and technologies, which is where I believe that is primarily used, so we'll be hanging on to it for quite some time. Gekromancer, congratulations, you've developed an addiction to nicotine. You'll become a visible asshole if you don't get your smokes on a regular basis. We have finished researching multi-split air conditioning as well, and just for the hell of it, I have moved on to heavy turret research. This will allow us to build more heavy-duty turrets, chain guns, howitzer turrets, cannon turrets, rocket launchers, 40 millimeter naval guns and stuff. Things I can't really build right now because it all depends on components. And we are primarily waiting on just getting enough plas still at this point to build the multi-analyzer and advance on. We're up to 21. People have not been able to spend a whole lot of time in the rock quarry at this point. Since the battle anyways, we've been catching up on a lot of other things. And I did give them a ton of tasks. in regards to smoothing out floors, which is an ability that most people have enabled to some degree. Kind of like Dwarf Fortress, I want all of my colonists to be able to construct things and to have that ability. Being able to quickly throw up a base or build workshops or just, you know, repair the base if things go bad is an invaluable asset. And lumping that skill in with simply 1 or 2 colonists is a recipe for disaster. I think what I will also set up next for our builders is going to be... I'll probably have to tear down these walls first. Unless we move it out, which I actually might. What do I have the most of? 2,827 granite blocks. Tons of those. There is a reason I stock up on blocks and things. We're going to bring this wall all the way up here and build it like that. This entire area is going to get walled off and boxed in. I have planted a whole bunch of grass here, and we'll be continuing to expand it out into these little areas as needed. And hey, the eclipse is ending. I didn't think the eclipse would last very long, but you never know. Randy Random could really decide to screw me over super hard someday. He has been rather generous, which I'm not going to complain too heavily about. So this is kind of the next big project. It won't really take very long. The walls themselves take only 29 work units to complete, which doesn't take all day, compared to, say, building a chair that takes 150, or some of these medical things that take 250. We should be able to knock all of this out and secure our farmland, our ranch land for the animals rather quickly. This will also have the added benefit of ensuring that anybody who wants to come shoot at us has to run all the way up here and peek their head around this corner, which will give us enough range to shoot them in the fucking face, instead of having them set out here just outside of our range. Now, there are enemy units called sappers, I believe, that can go through walls, but as I have mentioned, not just in this playlist, but in the last one, if you give the AI an opening to come at you, they will generally take it, rather than dig through rock walls and blow up your constructed walls. It's not to say they won't. They most certainly will. But it's far less likely if you leave certain things open. Doors are a particular target that they'd love to come smash down. I should also, most likely, replace this with an actual wall, but for now I'm going to leave it. This is useful if, say, some manhunter animals come around. The manhunters will patrol out here, waiting for somebody to leave the base, because this is where our scent is strongest, I guess. And we can just have sharpshooters that stand on the other side of the fence here and pick them off. It's kind of cheesy, but at the same time, they're animals. And if I needed to put down a pack of rabid wild animals, the last thing I would do is go out where they could actually get me. Humans are a different story, because they can shoot through fences. They don't give a fuck. Animals, though, those things, yeah. Easy targets. I'm not particularly concerned about them. Let's see, sandbags. I could build sandbags up here and through here. Kind of section this off into a little defensive bunker. I will be putting a machine gun here, and most likely down here, as soon as we can research components. It's already 82 degrees in here. Food will spoil in one day. The jute fibers will disappear soon. I would absolutely hate to lose all of this meat. It would break my heart. It would be fitting for the game to screw me like that. But at this point, I think we would be able to hold out for quite a while. We've got enough supplies out here almost ready to harvest, and enough food in here that it's not a big deal. You'll notice that the temperature has stabilized considerably. It is 81 degrees out there. Not that long ago, it still would have been 120 out here. So things are finally capable of growing at a decent pace, instead of taking an entire 3 seasons to grow, basically. I'm going to assume that it is because our orbit around the sun, since it's elliptical, is coming into a more reasonable range. Someone posted the values on video 15 or 14 as to how hot and cold it can get based on the elliptical orbit. Needless to say, I think we are possibly out of the worst of it, which is quite reassuring. We should be able to have a few years, or a few, yeah, probably, if, well, let's see, what year is it even? 501, 5501. If we're actually passing into the cooler part of the elliptical, and it's not just because it's winter, which it might be, then we should have a few years of relative prosperity, just if, provided we don't get raided regularly. The only downside to the temperature being more reasonable is that, yeah, this place is going to look far more lucrative to the raiders and bandits out there. Whenever it's 160 degrees out here, they're not too interested in showing up and spilling blood, believe it or not. So, everything at this point is basically running smoothly. There's no one injured from the raid anymore. The eclipse is gone. Before we let them get back to work, let's see who has anything left over from the raid. Carcinoma, it's no big deal. Impotent, that was there before. Mosquito, you've got brain damage from a blaster scar from a blaster pistol. How bad is that? I think 6% plus 1% pain, so not too bad. Affected by brain. Brain is 3/9. Consciousness is only 33%. Never mind, that brain damage is pretty significant, Mosquito. You know what? At least maybe that'll help you forget the pain of your past. Your consciousness and your memory is gonna be shit. You won't possibly be able to remember your mail-order bride dying or anything else you've experienced since then. Gekromancer, you've got your left eye is only 11% efficient after you got shot in it. I'm gonna guess a piece of the plasma bolt fractured or something and flew right into your eyeball. Pretty horrible. But all in all, not the worst thing. We can fix eyeballs at some point. Stock, you've also got brain damage. Your brain is 40% efficient these days. You're not hit in the head by the blaster rifle. I think at some point we can fix brain damage, but it's going to be really far down the road. So there we go, just a couple of permanent scars from that fight. Eyeball damage and brain damage. I would have been much happier if it had just been eyeball damage for everyone. Where is Stock? You'll notice how slow he's moving now. That's because of the brain damage. And Mosquito. They are our special colonists right now. And we'll do everything we can to take care of you guys. It's the 8th of December, 9 o'clock in the morning. And everything is peaceful for a change. The future looks bright. Welcome back, colonists. It's the 10th of December, 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and Laki from the Galactic Empire was just happening to wander nearby, and noticed that we could use some help. He's a blood game survivor, and his traits are quick hands, trigger-happy, and agile. He's also Stock's brother. We're going to accept Lockie here, and you are actually going to be Sleepy Joe, also known as Sleepy Joe 2 on YouTube. Welcome to the colony. How did you die, Emu? Whatever. Sleepy Joe, might as well grab that dead bird carcass on your way back so we can slaughter it for food if there's any good meat left on it. Not a whole lot going on since the last update. Vault City has a trade fair going on that we're not going to. If I had any way to pack up a lot of clothing and resources and stuff like like muffalos that I could turn into an actual caravan, we would probably go. But I don't want to even waste time messing with it in this case. Also have finished researching heavy turrets, and I have set up a very large research chain just in order to pass the time, I guess. First, we're going to be making spotlight turrets to illuminate the darkness, and then we're going to start researching everything down here and knocking it out. We are still currently in industrial tech age, I believe, so we need to knock out as much of this easy stuff as we can. Like all of this concrete works, probably riot combat gear, 20 things in the research queue. I doubt that we will be able to finish researching all of them before I decide to move on to target something specifically, but you never know. Whenever we return or something, it could be a huge list of finished researches just sitting there. Hintelin is back to researching full time. He is thrilled and ecstatic, primarily because we have more cigarettes than he knows what to do with. Whenever we rolled our first batch of cigarettes in weeks, he spent like 4 hours chain smoking here just to get his nicotine fix. We're up to 149 survival meals. I have them set to make 200 of them before they move on to anything else. They never go bad, so even if the power fails or something horrible happens, we will at least have a decent supply of non-perishable food and water. We've also got beer in here. Frosty beer, because it's cold and frozen. Now we can probably put just basic water here. Water that has been purified and bottled does not actually go bad, which is very nice. That'll be the two things we need in order to go on long journeys at some point. It's 108 degrees outside at the hottest part of the day, basically. So the temperature is, I don't want to say it's perfect, but it's manageable. We might actually be able to get some oranges from our orange trees here at some point. I decided to also fill these fields full of grass. Might as well, while the temperature is good enough to allow it to grow. And other than that, there's nothing going on. It's been peaceful and quiet. The colonists occasionally sit here and shit talk, and Looney, of course, our local warden, basically spends most of his time patrolling in the kitchen area, where the beer and the cigarettes are. Also, you need a better weapon. Let's go ahead and give you the DH-17 blaster. These things have phenomenal range, a range of 40. Manufactured by Blaztech Industries, the DH-17 blaster pistol was commonly used by soldiers of the Rebel Alliance for conflicts aboard starships, and sometimes the officers of the Galactic Empire carried it instead of the standard E-11 blaster rifles. It's got a range of 40, which is nice. Bows only have a range of 29. The old-fashioned rifles have a range of 37, so it even outranges them. Scout blasters have a range of 30. Have anybody who does not have a good weapon? Val's got the blaster rifle. Probably need to replace all of these short bows. Gekromancer. Don't know what I want you doing with your bad eyeball. You have no shooting skill. Sleepy Joe has a careful T-21 blaster rifle, which gives him additional accuracy at all ranges, and even lowers his aiming time. Not too terribly bad. GoldenEye, are you one of our pacifists? Capable of violence. Yes, you are. Stock, you got the auto pistol of the Ranger. Looney, we've seen what you've got. I guess Kid Russia, we will give you the Scout Blaster. You can quit hanging out with somebody for a moment and go pick up a weapon. Everybody needs to be armed. The last visitors we had from the Galactic Empire left us like 1,200 credits. They weren't overall pleased with us, but one of their members was. And so he dropped a ton of Imperial Dosh on us to spend on who knows what. As far as I know, these things are basically worthless. They don't really go for very much in trade. Rather unfortunately. I guess it's good to spend some time getting rid of these blocks. Before too much longer, we'll be caught up with everything else that I've assigned, building and planting and harvesting and all that, and people will be back to working in the rock quarry full-time. We need that plastil. I think we need 29 more pieces of it. Saldalnik has diarrhea from dirty water, from not washing their hands. We've also got 3 domestic goose eggs that are fertilized. That should all hatch at about the same time. It's good to see that our geese are successfully multiplying. I know one of you, yep. Poor goose number 1. Tailless. Doesn't seem to slow it down at all, though. Poor thing. I guess it could always be worse. It could be ate by this bastard up here. I'm just waiting for this thing to get hungry and actually come after one of our colonists, or try and chow down on all of my animals. We've also got a black dire wolf up there, and there. Massive beasts. Let me guess, you killed the Komodo dragon. You bit all its legs off, and you bit its neck off. Wonderful. Oh wow, this thing has a huge history. The dire wolf is probably a mutated subspecies of the wolf. An adult specimen can reach the size of a pony or small horse, and especially the fur of the mane is partially matted into thick, felty lobes that provide excellent protection against cold and physical force effects. The dentition is of respectable size too, but lies well in proportion to the skull and rest of the body. Applied biting force can only be estimated from the metrics that have been taken from the individual that also served as the defined holotype of the species. The single specimen that has been thoroughly examined and described by an expert showed no differentiation from the common wolf in terms of anatomy of the internal organs, and a heavily degraded tissue sample was analyzed to yield a genetical similarity to Canis lupus that makes reproductive barrier very unlikely. Let's see, blah blah blah, fiercely intelligent. Stories from crash landed survivors on distant Rimworlds even tell about direwolves being capable of tool use. That is only restricted by their lack of hands. It's not been verified by scientists yet. If only we could tame you. 2.5% chance to attack. Seems like a really high chance, but can you imagine if we could ride into battle on direwolves? Or even show up at a trade fair riding direwolves? Surely that would strike fear and awe into the hearts of our adversaries and allies alike. Tame the beast, and then breed them and slaughter them for their pelts and delicious direwolf meat. We have finished the spotlight turret. So many turrets. I need to build some snare traps, actually. Pitfall traps. Might be useful to scatter around. So a spotlight turret can automatically lock on to a nearby hostile and takes one component. That's the only downside. Fail is the target of a direwolf. Oh, Fail, no, please. No, please, Fail. How quickly can you run? Why did that thing get mad at you, Dan? Quick, go hop on the machine gun. Oh, it was targeted by that one way up there. Okay. We kind of lucked out here. Is anybody going to be close enough to actually get on this thing? Burton, get out here. Everybody to your battle stations. Fail is being hunted down. This thing is incredibly fucking quick. Oh, man. Okay, Dan. You've got to take that direwolf out. Fel, don't you stop running. Okay. Fel became the target of just this one. I would rescue it, but if it heals, I don't think it'll be on our side. Here, shoot this thing. No, it's already dead. Okay. False alarm, everybody. Stand down. Stand down. That was what we call a lucky freebie. If it had been this one, Fel probably would have been torn limb from limb. Man. Was that thing... It must have been hungry up here. And Fel was the closest snack that it thought it could beat. Because it wasn't crazy enough to go after the Titan of Boa there. Which I don't particularly blame it. This one's not hungry at all, but I'm a little bit too terrified to try and tame it now. Bad news all around. But hey, direwolf meat and some direwolf leather. Maybe we can make something cool out of it at some point. It is the 10th of December, 11 o'clock at night. The colony is about ready to wind down for the evening. And other than the direwolf scare right there, I think we're going to be just fine.